Heat wave kills 7 in Argentina. A heat wave affecting Argentina has left at least 7 people dead, most of them elderly, in the past week, officials said. The heat has been compounded by power cuts, which have prevented many people from using air conditioning. In Santiago del Estero and other northern provinces, temperatures have soared to over 45 degrees Celsius, about 113 degree F. Yeah. And meteorologists say it has been the worst heat wave in the region since records began in 1906. The victims of the extreme weather lived in Santiago del Estero, located 1,100 kilometers, about 680 miles north of Buenos Aires. Hundreds of people in the province have required medical help, and doctors have warned people to stay indoors during the hottest hours. Tires on fire. Argentina's aging power grid has been struggling to keep up with increased demand for air conditioning. Ice cream parlors and other businesses have lost their stocks due to the power cuts. Authorities are blaming the energy shortages on the hot weather, but the opposition accused the government of mismanaging the crisis. Many people are protesting about the lack of services, says the BBC's Irene Caselli in Buenos Aires. Some parts of the city has been without power for 2 weeks. Residents have set fire to rubbish bags and tires on the roads, causing traffic jams as many left the capital for the New Year festivities. Buenos Aires Mayor Mauricio Macchilli, a former ally of President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, said private energy suppliers could not take all the blame. The main responsibility is with the federal government, he said. The government must make sure that there is an investment program, which has not happened in the last decade. New Year celebrations welcome 2014. Celebrations are taking place around the world to mark the start of 2014. People in Auckland, New Zealand are among the first to celebrate. In Australia, hundreds of thousands gathered for a spectacular firework display around Sydney's Harbour Bridge. Similar shows take place in cities across the world, with thousands lining London's River Thames. New York stages its traditional New Year's Eve countdown and ball drop over chilly Times Square. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, a New York native, pushed the ceremonial button to drop the famous ball on a rooftop over the square. Moscow also celebrated with a spectacular fireworks display over the Kremlin. However, there was intense security in Red Square following recent suicide bombings in the southern Russian city of Volgograd. Dubai, in the same time zone as Moscow, aimed for a world record for a firework extravaganza stretching along 30 miles, 50 kilometers of seafront. Adjudic- Adjudicators from Guinness World Record were on hand to check proceedings, but it was not clear immediately whether the attempt was successful. The world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa, was the centerpiece of the display. East Asian cities also rang in the new year, with Beijing, Jakarta, and Singapore all hosting celebrations. In Hong Kong, tens of thousands of spectators watched the fireworks over Victoria Harbour. The Chinese city of Wuhan had called off its display to avoid worsening a smoke problem. In Japan, Shinto priests gathered at shrines. Japanese Shinto priests gathered at shrines. Japanese people traditionally visit shrines and temples to pray for their families at this time. In the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, an estimated 100,000 people sang the national anthem in the city's Independence Square in support of further integration with Europe. The square has been the focus of pro-European protests for more than a month after President Viktor Yanukovych ditched a key deal with the EU. As midnight struck across Western Europe, Berlin and Paris were among the capitals stacking spectacular displays. In London, an hour behind, the chimes of Big Ben signaled what was billed as the world's first multi-sensory fireworks show, with peach-flavored snow and edible banana confetti showering crowds packing the banks of the River Thames. In Scotland, where New Year festivities are known as Hogmanay, crowds thronging the streets of Edinburgh were dazzled by a more traditional firework display over the ramparts of Edinburgh Castle. Meanwhile, in Dublin, performers took part in a people's procession of light, a torch-lit celebration illuminating its way through the city. Cape Town in South Africa staged a free concert with lasers, fireworks, and a special tribute to former President Nelson Mandela, who died on 5th December. In Brazil, organizers of Rio de Janeiro's celebrations is estimated that more than 1 million revelers packed the city's famous Copacabana beach to watch fireworks light up the bay after midnight. New York will soon mark the new year with the traditional New Year's Eve countdown and ball drop over Times Square. North Korea's way with extreme insults. The uncle of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, executed for treason on Thursday, has been officially denounced as despicable human scum. Why is the language so over the top? At the military trail, Chang Song-tak admitted trying to overthrow the state and was executed immediately, according to state news agency KCNA. Despicable human scum John, who was worse than a dog, perpetrated thrice cursed acts of treachery in betrayal of such profound trust and warmest paternal love shown by the party and the leader for him. A statement by the agency said. Strong stuff. The language has to be strong because this person was powerful and he has to be made to be the embodiment of all that is evil, says Professor James Grayson, Korea expert at the University of Sheffield. It's directed at a domestic audience, he suggests, whether it's rocket launchers or rhetoric towards the enemy. The strategy is a show of strength designed to coalesce the various factions of the North Korean authorities. The full force of condemnation was denied to the foreign audience. Domestic radio in North Korea referred to Chang Song-tak as "Nom", which is literally translated as "the bastard", but KCNA translated this as "he" for their English version. Owen Miller of the School of Oriental and African Studies in London describes the language as a particular dialect of bureaucrats beloved of the North Korean ruling class. They love these flowery Shakespearean insults, thrice cursed traitor, and so on. It's not the kind of insult you hear on the street in South Korea, which is much more earthy, words referring to genitals, for example. The kind of thing you might hear on a drunk Saturday night in London. It is, however, in line with the sort of statements issued by Stalinist Russia and parts of Maoist China during leadership purges, says Grayson, after reading a full statement in Korean and in English. Dogs often cropped up in the language of the Cold War. The Chinese frequently used the term running dogs to describe people they saw as subservient, as in phrase, the imperialists and their running dogs, the Chinese reactionaries used by Mao. In 2012, KCNA captioned a gross cartoon of South Korean President Lee Myung-bak in the following gruesome terms. The dirty, hairy body of rat-like Myung-bak is being stabbed with bayonets. One is right in his neck and the heart has already burst open. Blood is flowing out of its filthy bottom hole. The phrase "despicable human scum" in the English alphabet is pronounced roughly as "착한 인간 쓰레기". China officials banned from smoking in public. China has banned its officials from smoking in public places, according to an official government circular. Officials can no longer smoke in places like schools, hospitals, offices, public transport, and public venues, Xinhua News Agency says. The Communist Party and the State Council, the country's cabinet, issued the circular on Sunday. China is considered the world's largest tobacco producer and consumer, with an estimated 300 million smokers. Last year, the Health Ministry issued a report saying that China accounts for about 40% of global production and consumption of tobacco. Smoking remains a relatively universal phenomenon in public venues, according to a circular quoted by Xinhua. Some officials smoke in public places, which has not only jeopardized the environment and public health, but tarnished the image of party and government offices and leaders, and has a negative influence. In addition, tobacco can no longer be sold at government and Communist Party offices, Xinhua says. Signs prohibiting smoking are also to be prominently displayed at these offices. It was not immediately clear what the punishment would be for those in violation. In 2011, China instituted a ban on smoking in public places like hotels and restaurants, but reports say that implementation has been lax. Obituary. Rest in peace, light bulb. Obituary. Rest in peace, light bulb. It lit up the world and showed us all our way. It served presidents, princes, and paupers with equal alacrity. It brought the writings of Yeats, Joyce, Rowling, and Trudeau to millions of bad readers and helped countless people around the world avoid stopping their toes in the dark. And now it is no more. Farewell, traditional light bulb. As the clock strikes midnight, the light dims on your reign as a mechanical illuminator of human existence. Rest in peace. This was no sudden death. The diagnosis came years ago, in 2007, when President George W. Bush signed a law to replace standard incandescent with more efficient bulbs. Much more, only about 10% of the energy these traditional bulbs use is for light. The Environmental Protection Agency says 75 and 100 watt bulbs were already banned this year. The ban on production of 40 and 60 watt bulbs, the most popular in the country, kicks in as 2014 begins. There are 4 billion light bulb sockets in the US, and more than 3 billion of them still use the standard incandescent technology that hasn't changed much in 125 years. The EPA says a standard incandescent is only 10% efficient. The other 19% of the electricity it uses is lost as heat. It's a dawn of a new day, taking over the limelight now. Halogen bulbs, compact fluorescent bulbs, LED bulbs, and high-efficiency incandescents, while CNN Money has covered the business behind all this, as well as the battle over whether it's a sign of too much government meddling. On this New Year's Eve, we are left with the sad sense of saying goodbye to you, sweet standard, but also the knowledge that your legacy will irradiate our world brighter than ever. Born in 1803 or later, depending on how you measure it, you, in all your transformational beauty, were raised by more parents than we could name. Humphrey Davy, James Bowen Lindsay, William Sawyer, Albon Man, Joseph Swan, and of course Thomas Edison. The Energy Department notes, while unlike President Barack Obama, you have no birth certificate, we will always treasure Edison's patent of you from January 27, 1880. And we find solace in knowing that he just might be glad to see you exit gracefully, making way for the next generation. Thomas Edison was a patriot. He was a futurist, and he was green. Edison's concern after the turn of the last century was with pollution and non-renewable resources, not with freezing technological change at the level of 1879. David Edward Edison Sloan, Thomas Edison's great-grandson, wrote for CNN.com under the headline, Edison would love new lightbulb law. Still, some aren't quite as ready to let go, and in a way they won't have to. As with all laws, there are some loopholes. Three-way standard incandescent light bulbs will still be made. Yes, we live in an era of space stations, blazing fast computers, and access to just about any piece of information we need, but no one can take away the glory of that click 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 you give us in our hotel room lamps. So for those who just can't quit you yet, some enterprising shop owners have a plan. Any regular lamp, you can change it from an on and off to a three-way, and we do it for our customers here. Don Satterfield, owner of Rolliers Hardware in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, told CNN affiliate KDKA. But in the not-so-long run, we know your gleaming presence in our lives is fading. Today's children won't know you as previous generations did. At CNNmoney.com, a commenter calling himself Mudbone Willie posted his concern and received hundreds of upvotes for it. Great, I do all of my baking in a small oven that used a light bulb as its heat source. Now what? Worry not, Mudbone Willie. Worry not, Mudbone Willie. The Easy Bake Oven has changed with the times. No more light bulbs needed, Hasbro says in its aid for the Easy Bake Ultimate Oven. As Greenbees.com reported, Hasbro revised its classic in response to the new law. The new lights taking over our lives will surely bring joy and less wasted energy, perhaps a beautiful new beginning. Still, on two of life's most pressing questions, we remain in the dark. What will happen when a cartoon character gets a great idea. On this, Fortuna Lee offers some suggestions. And finally, how many psychiatrists, lawyers, programmers, math students, economists, and surrealists will it now take a light bulb? Oh, there are new ones that look the same. Problem solved. Here's to you. Standard incandescent light bulb. May the fireworks that light up the skies this evening give you the blazing send-off you deserve. Dozens detained by Russian police after Volgograd attacks. Russian police detained dozens of people in an anti-terror sweep in Volgograd, the southern city where two suspected suicide bombings killed more than 30 people this week. Thousands of police officers searched hundreds of people following the attacks on Sunday and Monday at the rail station and on a trolley bus just 6 weeks before Russia is due to host the Winter Olympics. The death toll from the attacks increased to 34 when some of those hurt died from their injuries, state media reported. Separately, Australia announced limits on the movement of its athletes for the Sochi Games. The blast in Volgograd intensified fears of terrorism following a threat earlier this year from a Chechen extremist group to use maximum force to disrupt the Olympics in February. No group has claimed responsibility for the attacks described as suspected suicide bombings. In his New Year's address, Russian President Vladimir Putin acknowledged problems in 2013 but said the Russian people had a lot to look forward to in 2014. He also had a message for terrorists. We bow our heads to the victims of violent terrorist attacks. We will continue to fight against terrorists, certainly, fiercely and consistently until their complete annihilation, he said in the address on Russian TV. In Volgograd, a strong security presence was on the streets leading to New Year's Eve celebrations. Australian restrictions. Australia said Tuesday that none of its athletes competing in the Olympics will travel to Sochi using ground transportation in Russia. They will only travel by air. Australian athletes will only train and compete in Sochi and won't vacation elsewhere in Russia after the Games, said John Coates, the president of the Australian Olympic Committee. Families of athletes and all other participants of the Olympic Games, including media and spectators, should note the steps we are taking for the safety and welfare of our athletes, Coates said in a statement on the committee's website. He nonetheless echoed comments from the International Olympic Committee expressing confidence that Russian authorities will do everything to ensure the security of athletes and all of the participants of the Olympic Games. Key transit point. While security in Sochi and its surrounding area is considered to be very tight, the attacks in Volgograd, a major transportation hub for southern Russia, has raised concerns about potential vulnerability of all the areas of the country. Volgograd is a main transit point for people travel by train to Sochi, which is situated just over 400 miles, about 645 kilometers to the southwest. The number of people killed in an explosion of the Volgograd's main rail station Sunday now stands at 18. The state-run news agency RIA Novosti reported Tuesday, citing the emergencies ministry. The toll from a blast on a trolleybus during the morning rush hour Monday has reached 16, the agency said, attributing the information to health officials. Russia's response: Russian authorities have described both explosions as terrorist attacks and vowed to continue their tough and consistent offensive against extremists. About 5,200 police officers are now on the ground in Volgograd for an anti-terrorism operation, and Andrei Filipchuk, a regional police official, said on Russian television. Police are checking people's documents in all crowded areas of the city and have so far detained 87 people who put up resistance or didn't have documents allowing them to carry weapons. Filipchuk said. But it wasn't clear if any of those held had any suspected connection to the attacks or would face any charges. A total of 1,500 buildings have been examined and more than 1,000 people have been searched in an operation, Filipchuk said. U.S. offers support. The United States have offered its full support to Russian government in security preparations for the Sochi Olympic Games, National Security Council spokesman Caitlin Hayden said in a statement Monday. We will welcome the opportunity for closer cooperation for the safety of the athletes, spectators, and other participants, Hayden said. The U.S. State Department said American citizens planning to attend the Games should be reminded that threats have been made against the Olympic Games and acts of terrorism, including bombings, continue to occur in Russia. This is an exciting, positive, happy international sporting event. But people going there do need to maintain vigilance and watch out for their own security and safety. Maria Harf, a State Department spokeswoman, said at a regular briefing Monday. Harf said the department was very focused on the security situation in Russia, but she declined to say whether any additional measures have been taken since the Volgograd bombings.